first of all, hit the pause button really quick on this conversation to just do a quick aside. Do you see the Broncos are now the favorite to land Tee Higgins?
I saw that.
Whoa.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, it's like, wow. We've been banging the table to have Tee Higgins here now. There's a big possibility that it can happen. Now, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And if we want to get into, like, more detail on it, it's like, what does that mean for Courtland Sutton? Because I think this only works if you still have Courtland and then you have another receiver like the Tee Higgins. This is like building weapons around Bo. That's what I'm thinking of.
Wait a second. You think that the only way that it works is if Courtland is also here?
Yeah, like that. We're building on him. We don't want to take pieces away.
Oh, I disagree.
Why? Like, you don't want to just give up a really good player and bring in another really, really, really good player when you can have both of them because Court's still under contract.
Still under contract.
But if you give Tee Higgins the money that he wants, which is around, what, $28-30 million a year kind of situation?
So I'm seeing his market value on SpotRack be a 4-year deal for $102 million. Average salary about $25.5 million.
So $25.5 million.
That's what they have as market. So just to be fair, a team could come. It just takes one to change that.
For sure. So let's just say $25 million. That's letting us know that Courtland's probably not going to get paid as well.
That's what I'm. Yeah. Yes.
And but for me, it's like I want to keep Court. I want to bring in Tee Higgins because I'm selfish. Because now Bo has more weapons. You have a familiar face in Courtland Sutton that you have built chemistry with. He's still really good. And then you add Tee Higgins or whoever that's going to be. We're just saying Tee Higgins because Tee Higgins he's the odds favorite to come to Denver.
Yeah.
Like, how does that look? That's fun. That's exciting for the Denver Broncos.
It's really fun. It's really exciting. But my pushback is
no pushback, Zach.
Is that
case closed? So
I am down for bringing in Tee Higgins and having Courtland play out the last year of his contract.
But you know he's not going to do that. But after having the year he just had.
Okay. So but then trade him.
Oh.
Then trade him.
So you just want to give up a player that just went for over 1,000 yards receiving?
Not just give him up just to give him up.
That's what you just said. Trade him. Trade his ass.
There's context to it.
Okay.
I do not, because I've already lived through this movie. I do not want the Denver Broncos to be the highest paid wide receiver position again. And they made that decision. They drafted Judy in the first round. They paid Sutton, turned around and paid Tim Patrick. Yeah. And then the next thing you know, the Denver Broncos have the highest paid wide receiver room in the league. I don't want that.
I understand that part.
If you bring in Higgins, which I am totally open to, all right, and sign him to a 4-year, $100 million deal, it would be with, for me, almost an assumption that we're saying goodbye to Courtland. That you're not going to have your cake and eat it too. The Broncos are still going through dead cap stuff. So
you're bringing in Tee Higgins, who's a great talent, but you don't know how this is going to fit.
He's a true number one.
So we think.
So we think. I think
it's
we know that.
It's easy to say you're a true number one when Jamar Chase is on the other side of you, and my man's taking all the receptions. My man's taking all the attention.
So he's
and you're always one-on-one.
So he's a product of being a number two.
All I'm saying is when you become the number one and you're being double teamed, how does that look now?
Yeah.
That's why I want to keep Courtland Sutton. Because now you can't double-team Tee Higgins because Courtland will win the one-on-one battles. But now that you're like, okay, you have to still respect Courtland, Tee Higgins is going to have an opportunity to have one-on-one opportunities. Do we not want to put weapons around Bo? We don't want to take away, but you're willing to give up Courtland Sutton, the disrespect.
So it's not disrespect. I love Courtland Sutton.
No, you don't.
But I'm trying to craft a football team in the most prudent way possible. And I don't think so let me get this straight before we proceed. You would want to bring in Tee Higgins, and if you miss the top of the segment, the Broncos are now the favorite to land Tee Higgins. I mean, holy mackerel. You would be down to bring him in, pay him $100 million, pay him $25 million a year.
Yep.
And then also turn around and pay Courtland Sutton?
Well, see, this is where it gets sticky.
You're darn right it does.
I'm not willing to give Courtland. Now, if Courtland decides, hey, this is the money that you're offering me, I'm not willing to take, and I want to be traded, then I'm okay with it because at least we tried. Like, what do we say with the Miko situation? McFarland tried. He said, hey, you're going to be the highest paid winger, and yet Miko declined it.
Yep.
So I'm not saying for Court, it's like, hey, give him a reasonable contract if he wants it. And if he says no to it, okay, we tried. Now we can trade him. but I want to keep all our assets. I want to be able to take Tee Higgins, implement him in the offense with Court, still have our draft picks, go and get a couple more young players. Ashton Genty falls to us. What does that look like now with Cortland, Tee Higgins, and Ashton Genty? We're not just talking about getting back to the playoffs. We're talking about winning a playoff game now.
So
you just don't like Court.
No.
After what Cortland did for us this year.
Hold on, just real quick. You didn't talk about extending Court there, did you? And I might have just missed it.
I offered
like a team-friendly contract,
sure.
you said.
Yeah. Because he's going to want more money.
Right now, his market value, according to SpotRack, is 3 years for about $69 million, which pays Sutton about $23 million annually.
Yeah.
So you want to pay one receiver $25 million on one side of the field and another receiver $23 million on his side of the field.
I just said team friendly.
Okay, so say he says, yeah, I'll take $1 million less per year. I love Denver. I'm not, because in his mind, he's already been playing for less. Now, I don't think that's true, but in his mind, he's been playing for less.
That's in the athlete.
This is going to be his last big contract as he's going into his age 30 season. Do you think he's going to want to take less this time around? Because my gut says no. The guy was just holding out when he had 2 years left on his contract.
Zach, it's like this. What's insane about this situation in general is I don't know how a player can get older but get paid more money than his first contract. That's an issue. That's why I'm not saying, hey, Cortland deserves to get paid $23 million a year. I'm not saying that. I'm saying a team-friendly deal, and if Cortland's willing to take that, because we don't know what Court's willing to take. There's more to it. Once you have the money, Cortland has money.
Oh, yeah.
It comes down to, like, do you want to move? Do you want to restart? Are you okay here? You just had a successful season with Bo Nix. You have fun. This is your home. You were drafted here. So, of course, like, there's certain things that come into play with that which a team can use against you and say, hey, we know you want to be here. We're going to undermine or we're going to give you a low ball deal because you're from here and we know that you really want to be here. Now, you could take it or leave it. All I'm saying is you still offer him something. And if he doesn't take it, then you can trade him.
Okay.
But I want to keep Cortland as long as possible because he's playing good football, and we need him plus Tee Higgins and get some more depth and use our draft picks for a running back.
Just to put a bow on your proposition here, instead of $23 million a year, what would you be offering Cortland? Just say in annual average value. Instead of 23, it'd be what?
It's going to be front-loaded. So you give him a 3-year deal, and it can average $18 million a year.
Okay.
3-year deal and front-loaded. So that last year you can cut ties with Court if it doesn't work out.
Sure. I would consider that. I just don't think he would. Because you're talking about this is Miko's agent. This is Miko's agent.
Yeah.
Saying, yeah, they're offering to pay you the highest paid winger, but we're $2.5 million apart from them. And so now you got to do 2.5 times 8 years for the contract. If his market value is at 23, and I agree with you about the 18, I would be willing to go down that route. If it's like within that range, that's a difference of $5 million. Even if it's a 3-year deal, which he's probably looking for 4, but even if it's 3, you're talking about 5 times 3, that's a difference of $15 million. His agent will be like, no, we're going for the Draisaitl deal.
No, and I agree. That's what an agent is supposed to do. And so if Cortland says, hey, this is what I want the money, this is my last big-time contract, like Miko.
Yep.
Nobody's going to be mad at that. I will not be mad at it.
Nope.
Go get your money.
If that's what you're prioritizing, go get it.
They use and abuse you. So go out there and get the money that you feel like you deserve.
Yeah.
And then ride off into the sunset and ride on that white horse and take your wife with you and have fun.
Sure.
But I want to keep Court here if we can, plus Tee Higgins or whoever else we decide to pick up in free agent.
I, too, would like to keep Court here.
No, you don't.
If it was as reasonable as the offer that you just suggested. I just don't think he's going for it. And instead of having, again, this is all under the premise if the Broncos were truly in on the Tee Higgins deal. Again, if you missed it at the top, the Denver Broncos are now the favorite to land Tee Higgins by the odds. My preference would be, here's my preference, okay? And again, this is not to piss you off, because I know you love Sutton, all right, because you know him personally. I don't, all right?
It just makes sense.
Well, depends who you ask, okay? Because it makes sense to you. It doesn't make enough sense to me.
You just want to trade away our assets.
I don't want to get imbalanced paying a wide receiver room, especially when you have already invested in the position in a super meaningful way with the drafting of Troy Franklin, the drafting of Marvin Mims. and most importantly, the drafting of Devon Vele.
But tell me this: is that truly? Oh, Marvin Mims was a second-round draft pick, correct?
Yep.
Okay, I understand that. Vele was a hit. He was a 7th-round draft pick, almost undrafted.
A scratch-off that fills your entire gas tank.
Troy Franklin, 4th-round draft pick, maybe
fourth. Yep, you're on it.
4th-round draft pick. Like, that's, to me, in my eyes, that's not saying, hey, like, we're investing in the position. It's like, hey, we're trying to figure out, we have a 4th-round draft pick, and who fits the 4th-round mode, and that was Troy Franklin. Vele, whoever made that decision, Vele has hit, and he was really good this year, but they didn't think about him enough to be able to say, hey, let's move up in the 3rd to get him. It was, hey, he's sitting here at the 7th. Nobody's really going to want him. And so now we can draft him in the 7th round and see what happens. And if he doesn't pan out, then we can just get rid of him.
But he's a pleasant surprise.
He is a pleasant surprise.
If you found a $20 bill in your pocket, that's a pleasant surprise. But just because you didn't count on it being there doesn't mean you would throw it out.
But
You'd be like, I just found it. Look what I can do with this now.
Mentally. Right, when they were talking about this in the draft process room, they're not saying, oh, Vele, he's going to be a good one, and oh, Troy Franklin, like, these are our future. What they're saying is, hey, they can hit, but we're not willing to move up to the 1st and 2nd round because we don't feel like they're that good.
Well,
that's how they think of it.
Well, and I'm telling you that, like, when you draft the same position in the same draft multiple times, and then you draft that position in the draft in consecutive years, you are investing in the position. Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, Devon Vele, back-to-back drafts.
Well, you need receivers.
You do. But I'm looking at this as a general manager standpoint, okay? Do you draft to replace?
You do.
Okay.
Just like you recruit to replace in college.
You recruit to replace, you draft to replace, and you execute that replacement when you hit on the players. I think they have a real hit with Devon Vele. It doesn't make enough sense for me to pay Tee Higgins $100 million, turn around, pay Courtland Sutton, let's just say, I don't know, $50 million, and he's making $20 a year.
Yeah.
This other guy's making $25 a year, and then you're taking away opportunities from the guys that you.
What opportunity? Troy Franklin for Troy Franklin to go out there and drop more passes?
I'm thinking of Devon Vele first and foremost, and then Marvin Mims, and then Troy Franklin in that order.
I'm looking at Marvin Mims as that gadget guy, the Deebo Samuel. There's always going to be a spot for Marvin Mims because he can do so much on that football field.
But don't you hope his role expands outside of like
but it can. Why can't it not expand? That's on Sean. Sean's the offensive coordinator. He is the one in charge. If you want Marvin Mims' role to expand, be creative. Find ways to get him more involved. That's all you have to do.
And they did.
After
the
week
last
10.
9 games. Yeah.
After week 10, it took them so long to do it.
Yes.
It's like, what are you doing? But
right.
There's opportunities out there.
So have you seen in the last stretch of the year, the last 7 games, which is more than 1 or 2 games, have you seen enough from Marvin Mims flashing that you want to see more?
I want to see a lot more.
Me too.
I want him to be implemented in the offense in different ways. But I also witnessed with my own eyes Courtland Sutton being the best receiver on our team right now. Not Vele, not Marvin Mims.
I understand.
Definitely not Troy Franklin.
Is he better than Tee Higgins, though?
He's not better than Tee Higgins, but you need a 1 and a 2. That's why was Tee Higgins and Jamar Chase so successful? You have Jamar Chase, the best receiver in the league, and Tee Higgins on the other side.
Okay.
Why are we not trying to be like that?
Okay. If you how was Courtland Sutton's year?
It was great.
It was great, wasn't it?
Yes.
Did he have an all-star on the opposite of him?
He did not.
So with all that double teaming stuff, we just saw him have the best year of his career with a rookie quarterback while he was getting double teamed.
So imagine if Tee Higgins.
I'm sure in a perfect world, if we're playing Madden or fantasy football, yeah, I want Tee Higgins and Courtland Sutton. But when you gotta pay them and you're trying to figure out how to
pay for good talent, you pay for the product out there.
Yeah, but
do you want Louis?
But why?
What do you like to say? Do you want Louis or Target? What was that like? Like you're paying Louis because of the brand, because of what it symbolizes in the sturdiness of the material.
And what I'm saying is, I don't want to pay for 2 gallons of milk when I have a cow at home that can produce it.
But tell me
the cow at home is your draft picks.
If you pay, and they end up being successful together, you win. This is what it's all about: is winning games and having success. And it's really all about your boy, my boy, the Denver Broncos boy, Bo Nix. You don't want Bo Nix to have the weapons around him?
He would be put in a great position.
But you don't want it.
No, I would want it without the finances.
I'm sorry, but you're going to have to pay no matter what. Like, you can go the route of getting a young talent or cheaper talent if that's what you want, the Chris Godwins, which I think is still a good idea.
I agree. But
but he's an in-house guy that you know specifically well, and has had success with multiple different quarterbacks, and we're talking about Cortland Sutton.
Yes.
And he has a great connection with Bo Nix.
He does.
And this is about winning games. So if I have to pay more money, everybody else is doing it. If I have to pay a little bit more money for success, that's what I'm going to do.
If Tee Higgins is truly on the table for the Broncos, and he's the Broncos are the favorite to land Tee Higgins, okay? Today, they're the favorite to land Tee Higgins. And I have a choice to make between Cortland Sutton or to bring Tee Higgins in on $100 million.
Yep.
And then sign Cortland Sutton as well. Or it's to just bring Tee Higgins in, replace Cortland Sutton, and promote the young receivers that you have drafted and have flashed for you in Mims and Vele. I would choose that option because I think I'm upgrading of a true number one. I'm going to pay a premium
What'd you
for
say?
it.
You said you think, though, right?
Yes.
Think.
Yes.
All right.
You just said Tee Higgins would be an upgrade, right?
It's an upgrade, but for the team in general, is that an upgrade? Or is an upgrade keeping Cortland Sutton and bringing in Tee Higgins? That's a major upgrade.
That would be a major upgrade. But I do not believe building your football team from the outside in.
But newsflash, Zach, we have already built from the inside out. We secured the bag. We secured our offensive line.
Offensive line's
so who
great.
else do we have to pay? After you pay Cortland, after you pay for Tee Higgins.
What about Nick Bonito?
Nick Bonito?
Yeah.
He's still under contract, and George has already said, hey, they haven't
And guess
talked
what?
about it.
So is Sutton. Sutton's
1
still
year.
under contract too.
For 1 year.
Yes. And how many more years left does Bonito have?
Was it 1 year?
Correct. So you're going to have to pay him a record-setting deal. Not a record-setting deal. I shouldn't say that.
We got to calm down. Nick Bonito had one good year.
But they're going to pay him, are they
George
not?
going to make him sweat it out. I guarantee George is going to sit here and say, hey, I want you to prove it. And by week 5 or 6, if you're doing the things you did last year, we will pay you what you want.
You may be right on that.
Zach, I know I'm right. Why would you pay a man for 1 year's of work?
Well, the response to that was you don't play with it. That guy was just a third in the NFL. Now I'm telling you, I'm not giving you my thoughts. This would be a reasonable response because you don't pay a guy or you don't not pay a guy.
They said don't play with your food.
Who just was incredible from start to finish at such a premium position and was third in the NFL in sacks. If you play with that and say,
how many years has Nick Bonito been a part of this team?
3.
And he's had 1 year.
Yep. I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that.
I'm just saying, like,
and Phil,
it's about consistency in anything we do, correct?
I agree. And if I were the general manager, I may take that exact approach. But if we're looking for a reason why you wouldn't, and you would pay him, it's, dude, you're going to piss this guy off. And if you say, hey, I want to see you prove it during the season, and you get 5-6 games into the season, what if he in his camp says, you want to know what? We're good. We're going to play out the year and hit free agency.
Then you have a Miko situation. You have a Miko situation where it's like, okay, do you let him hit the free agency or do you trade him?
And now you want to trade the Broncos' leading pass rusher.
There you go.
Yeah, just like you said that I don't like Cortland. No, I'm trying to build the football team in the best way possible, like a game of Tetris. Where does this piece fit? Can this piece fit here? And I just don't believe in paying multiple wide receivers top market value. I don't think that's the most prudent way to move here moving forward.
I understand where you're coming at and where you're going with it. And of course, it's all about making sure that you have enough for everybody else. And what's more important, a pass rusher or an older receiver?
And a second receiver.
And a second receiver if you bring Tee Higgins in.
Right.
We're talking about Tee Higgins.
Right.
But what I'm saying, and I'm thinking of it selfishly for Bo Nix in the offense and what we can look like and what it would look like if you kept Cortland Sutton, you keep Tee Higgins. All right, you have a young rookie tight end and a running back. That means you don't have to pay him. You already paid your offensive line. You have the young rookie quarterback for another 3 or 4 years before you have to pay him. Mm-hmm. So take advantage of that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I want to improve this team. I don't want to take pieces away and then say, okay, we got a number 1, but we don't have a true number 2 because we don't know if Vele's going to pan out. We don't know Marvin Mims and what he looks like in a number 2 role. We know as a gadget guy and a receiver that can do everything.
Who is the number 2 this year next to Cortland?
It was Mims.
It was Mims. Mims or Vele. They were both kind of right there, dependent on the game. Where I think we disagree is that you said, I want to improve the team. I don't want to take away pieces. What I'm saying is, if Sutton doesn't take a team-friendly below-market deal and you replaced him with Tee Higgins and you traded away Sutton and got an asset back, I do think you're actually improving on the field because I think Higgins represents an upgrade over Sutton.
For sure.
And then you'll have the same number 2 that you had with Sutton anyway. and you're going to gain an asset if you trade Sutton. I'm not sitting here banging the table and saying trading Courtland Sutton.
For sure. But you can't sit here and say Bailey's like Courtland's a number 2, but he's borderline number 1. So you would have a 1A, 1B, not a number 1, and then Bailey an unknown. Like he did well this year. How does it look when his role increases?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. How does it look when you have to be the man?
Well, a lot of times you just don't exactly know. But when you see enough, a la Christian Brown to KCP, when you see enough over a 2-year period, you say, this is why we drafted this young man. He's ready to take over the role. Do you know for certain? No, you don't. Did it come with a gamble? Yeah, to a certain extent it did. But then he knocks it out of the park, and then you're like, we wouldn't want to change anything. I think that...
Well, you're ready to crown CB already?
I think he's fantastic. I think he's best case scenario. Looking back to draft night, I think he's been the second best player for the Nuggets this year. I think he's been lights out.
You couldn't wait to say that.
Well, I think it's just the
truth.
truth.
I'm saying Christian Brown has done a great job. We're not going to argue about that. All I'm saying is let everything kind of run its course, and then that next year you have more of a
run its course, like letting Courtland Sutton play out his contract.
You if Court's willing to do that, why not? I'm saying
there's no way.
But that's the thing. There's no way. But if he's saying, hey, I'm willing to play this out and move on, like we're all gravy. We're good. Then there's no reason that why did we have this conversation? But we both know Courtland wants the money. He wants to be able to be rewarded for what he did this year.
Yeah. No, he does. And he will likely, especially, oh my gosh, you want to piss off Courtland Sutton? You thought he was pissed last year? If the Broncos turn around and pay Tee Higgins,
I know,
and then didn't pay him what he thinks he's worth, and that could be a different worth than the Broncos think he's worth heading into his 30s, that could get messy, Phil. That could get messy. Really good conversation. Really good conversation. And you can see this thing a bunch of different ways. I think reasonable minds can disagree on this, but
we just want what's best for the Broncos.
That's right.
We want to win.
That's right.
We want to win playoff games, and at some point get to a Super Bowl.
Yep, and we all agree that's the goal. We just might disagree on